After a week in Brittany, it's now time to head back to London with our electric vehicle. We will be making 4 stops on the way to Calais, riding the Ionity wave. We will then take the Eurotunnel and cross, charge one more time and head home. This is the plan. Let's see if we can follow it through. Okay, so we are on the road now and we're cruising at the speed limit. It's 110 kilometers an hour, 68 miles an hour. And we're on cruise control, 4.6 miles per kilowatt hours. It's a nice, very smooth road and not much traffic going on here. So all good, good start. Okay, so we want to get the next Ionity station, so we're going to take a look, go into EV nearby stations, and I've pre-selected the filter, and it should be just CCS, DC, and also in terms of operator, I've actually selected my favorite, and that's Ionity. So should be pretty easy to find the charger, shouldn't it? Well, actually, I'm not sure it is really. So that's a bit disappointing because pretty damn sure that it's not Ballville, the next one. It's another name, but it's not that one. That's the next one after. So don't really understand why it can't find either near my current position or in fact along the route the actual Ionity. So we're going to have to enter it manually. Not a big deal, but it would have been nice. It's not exactly complicated to implement. We've been driving for an hour and 10 minutes now, and we are at 4.2 miles per kilowatt hours, going down from a peak at 4.8 because we were on slower roads up to 110 kilometers an hour, and now the road is clear and it's a speed limit of 130 kilometers an hour. So of course the efficiency is a bit lower. Okay, so we've arrived in our first stop. It's an Ionity and all the connectors are available. And yeah, it's a nice green area. So if we look inside, we're gonna see that we arrive with about 43%. It says we should be charging for 20 minutes. In fact, we'll depart. Before that, we've driven 65 miles at 55 miles an hour. It took an hour and 15 minutes, and we were at 4.2 miles per kilowatt hours. So yeah, that's it. Nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, to be honest, we have plenty of battery left, but not enough to skip this stop and go to the next one. I don't think we would have enough. And let's remember, there's less energy in the second half of the battery compared to the first half. We are on the move again. It's 12:14 and we've recharged to 81%, so the range is now 101 miles. Okay, so that was 21 minutes of stop time, including going out and going back in. The next stop is just 46 miles away, so not very much at all. But there's supposed to be quite a bit of traffic jams ahead, so it's going to take it more than an hour. And yeah, that's it. Okay, so this was anticipated, but we are now stuck in traffic on the way to Caen, maybe half an hour ahead of that kind of traffic jams. Not great when you are on a 7-hour trip, but never mind. Very, very slow. And as a result, our average is now 4.4 miles per kilowatt hours. But of course, average speed is going down too. Okay, we're on the slower charger here because the others weren't available. There's one of them that is actually out of order. And the funny thing is I couldn't charge using the app. Right, so I had to start it with the car, which is fine. But again, all of that, these are glitches that should just not happen. So we are charging on the slow charger now, and we arrive with just 51%. So that's a lot of battery to have left to recharge. But if we take a look at consumption altogether, we're at 4.5 miles per kilowatt hours for now. We've driven just 112 miles, so pretty slow overall, but there's been quite a long traffic jam that has kept us stuck. Right, so hopefully we're going to be going a bit faster now. We need to recharge to 84%, and then we'll be on the way. Just had the chance to do a quick stop just now. We've set the destination to the next stop. It's Ionity again. It's Balleville Est at 64 miles and an hour and 15 minutes apparently. Very, very busy again on this particular stop. We have finished a 21-minute stop and a 15-minute charging time. Now that includes the changing from one station to the other station, including the slower station, because it wasn't working. So still pretty good, very much the same time that ABRP was planning, except we had consumed less energy. So very much as per the schedule. We're currently running at 3.7 miles per kilowatt hours on this new portion, and by my calculations that means we would arrive with 19%, 19, which is plenty, which is fine. Let's see whether that's true. We are 45 miles away from the stop. With 27 miles to drive still, and 54%, with about 163 watt hours per kilometer, the new estimate for arrival is now 25%. So we are gaining back on the battery capacity. So that means we're going to have plenty of buffer once again on arrival. So this is the longer leg of the trip. It's 136 kilometers and we are 68 miles now away from the next Ionity station at Baie de Somme. Now we've got a budget of 150 watt hours per kilometer, so I really need to watch that one carefully. And you can see at the minute that I'm at 154. So I'm really trying to keep it cool here because simply there is no charging station in between those two stations, which is a bit of a problem really and shows potentially the limitations of this car. But anyway, I have put the speed limit at 110 or 70 miles an hour, and we're going to try to manage that budget and see whether we get there with enough of a buffer or no buffer at all, or we have to bail out and we don't make it. Talk to you soon. Alright, so we are 50 miles away from the Ionity station and we are at 72% and we're doing 150 watt hours per kilometer. So what that means is we are currently on trajectory for 20%-ish on arrival, which would be plenty, frankly. And that means I'm keeping it a little bit too slow in a way compared to what I should really be able to achieve. So that means that we're not going to be doing the additional stop. We are going straight to Baie de Somme. Talk to you soon. All right, the GPS does it again. We were going to go to the station, the stop that's of course by the motorway, and it had us take the exit 5 miles ahead of that stop. Why does it do that? Anyone's guess. So we are going through those tiny roads now. This is very puzzling. This is not a big issue, but it is definitely puzzling. It's now a classic feature from the sat-nav. We are ahead of a gate and can't get back onto the motorway. Should have known better than follow the instructions. That's okay, we'll go on our way back, and we've got plenty of range left, luckily enough, because we've done 141 watt hours per kilometer, so well within the budget of 150. You can see we've done our 83, maybe this way you can see 83.4 miles. So all of that is exactly right, except we would just wish we were on the other side of the gate. All right, we are at La Baie de Somme. All right, so a big charger station, and we're on 18% with 19 miles left. We just had to do a bit of a detour, courtesy of the sat-nav, which I was foolish to trust. Again, my mistake in many ways. So we did 93.4 miles. It says 56 miles per hour, but really, if it hadn't been for this early exit, we would have been on 65, 66 miles per hour. So not particularly slow. And we've consumed about 20 kilowatt hours at 139 watt hours per kilometer. That's very good. That's very good because essentially at the start of this leg, I was very slow, I was managing my budget, and then we had some hills, and it was absolutely possible to go pretty quick, in fact. So that's it. We're going to be charging now in a minute. we're at Eurotunnel, and it'd be fantastic to have a Tesla, obviously, because none of the superchargers are actually in use. But if you're one of the people with alternative cars, well, it just doesn't work. So for now, we are going to go with 22 miles of range into the Eurotunnel, and we'll just go on Ionity on the other side. This is our last stop. We're again at the Ionity station, this time UK side, and we are charging 51% currently. It's taken a little while to find a charger that works. The first connector did not work, second connector didn't work for someone else, couldn't get it started with the card, could get it started with the app. Certainly not what I'd expect, given they do charge a bit of a premium, don't they? But hey ho, this is going at good speed. Once it's getting going, 64, we're going to charge to about 70, probably 72%, and that's our final leg with about 55 miles, and then we're home. We have arrived, and we still have 37 miles of range. In fact, way too much. That's okay, 33% on the battery, and we have now done 389 miles, 47 miles per hour in 8 hours and 53 minutes. Actually, it's probably a bit more because we had the stops that wouldn't be counted. And on the last leg, just 52 miles from this Folkestone Services charger, 55 miles, about an hour, but a very efficient hour at 136 watt hours per kilometer, and partly due to the fact the motorway was at 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometers an hour only for quite a while, in fact. So yeah, that's it. That's us done for today. Pretty glad to be here. In fact, probably quite relaxed. Maybe not relaxed, but you know, not too tired after this trip. It's actually pretty good to do those breaks. It's now time to take a look at the stats, as we do, but before we do so, please like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me carry on. Tell me about your experience. When did you do a last long trip? Are you considering the Ioniq and watching 100 videos on YouTube to make sure it's the right choice? Are you waiting for an Ioniq because there are none on the used car market? It's such a great car, etc. Just let me know what you think. So, what are the stats for this trip? Well, actually, this is really the Ioniq performing as expected, and in fact better than expected. Yes, we took too many stops, there's no question about that, and we finished with 40%, 50% of battery state of charge in many cases. But if you look at the efficiency, the measured efficiency on those different legs of the trip, you can see an average of 146 watt hours per kilometer, and the short leg B, was just at 126. If you recall, we had loads of traffic, and of course that takes your average down. Conversely, the next leg, we were at full speed on the motorway in France, where the speed limits are higher, and that was 161 watt hours per kilometers. If you look at the charging now, the charging very good, always a kind of 60 plus kilowatt average, the exception being charge number 2, where we were on the 50 kilowatt charger, so your average becomes 44. And of course on charge 3 here, there's a reason why it says 48 kilowatt average, is because we topped up with AC, which of course on average slows down things or reduces the average. So overall, again, you know, time and time again, you recharge the car and it works. It doesn't overheat, at least not in that spring weather. The temperature goes up, but still it delivers, and that's great. if we take a look at the summary, and I won't go through all the details, you can take a look at it for yourself, there are two things I want to call out. Number one, ABRP, good estimate in terms of charging time, overestimated in terms of how much consumption we were gonna have for the car, maybe because we're a bit slower, partly because it keeps it safe. Point number two is we think that with the ICE car, with a normal petrol or diesel car, it would have been about an hour and 30 minutes faster, right? So on something that was like a 12-hour journey, we could have saved an hour and 30 minutes, which frankly to us, the day was a traveling day really, and therefore it doesn't matter too much. We note also that we spent about £23 having the Ionity subscription anyway, £23, and that would be about 3 times as much with a petrol or diesel car. So remains for me to thank you for watching. If you've been watching the whole video, well done to you because it's a bit long, but thank you very much for watching, and please like and subscribe as always.